Okay. I knew episode 14 of Danger to My Heart was going to be full of Ichikawa just flustered and tons of shenanigans and some ecchi in there, but I wasn't expecting the feels. It feels like just like with Ichikawa's house visit, it's just an open door to the character themselves. We get so much insight into Yamada, her insecurities, and yeah, finally letting the two of them air it out. That's always the fantastic thing. That's why I love so much about this writer is they don't let things sit. I love it. And yes, we get a hug. We actually got a hug. Ichikawa, good boy. I just hate... There's one thing that frustrates me most about... I guess it's a Japanese culture thing, but it's so much in anime, is just the hands-off. There's always the hands-off. And yes, I can kind of get it from a culture perspective. That's doing a lot. When you're hugging somebody, that is a lot of touching. So if you're not family, that's a lot of touching to be doing. And every time I see it, every time it actually happens, and again, you have this character that's hurt, and nobody does anything. It's like, hug that person. I'm a hugger. So whenever I see that a character does not hug somebody that is hurting so bad, it frustrates me. I get so angry. Yes, tons of little ecchi moments. I love this episode. The dog, Yamada grabbing him. The mother running in the room with no pants on. Mama, go get some pants. And yes, seeing the dad is not dead like I was predicting. The dad is still alive. And what it kind of indicates based on Yamada cutting off and what we've seen briefly, I think Yamada likes Ichikawa because he's like her dad. We'll see though. Yes, we also get a little spicy scene with Kana. Because like I said before, it really does feel like Kana has turned it into the ecchi character. But anyways, I'm getting ahead of myself. Let's dive into this episode. I freaking love this episode so much. Coming in there with, yes, Yamada syncing with the robot. The bath will be ready soon. Drying off his head, talking about how difficult it would be if the parents show up, and Yamada not really getting it at that time. This is what I like about Yamada, is that she doesn't really get it sometimes. It seems like she's a ditz character, but she's not really. It's just, I think there's certain things that she doesn't really kind of connect it fully like everybody else does. It's one of those things where she sees it, but she doesn't see it a problem until she kind of sees the deeper aspect of it. So yes, with like him going, hey, your parents are going to be home, isn't that a bad thing? Well, why would it be a bad thing? Well, because I'm a boy. My friends come by all the time. Yeah, but I'm a boy. It's different. I want you to meet the parents. I can't right now. I need different clothes. I can't be meeting your parents in your gym clothes. It's like all these things where Yamada gets it again, but she doesn't get the whole picture. At least she doesn't connect it like everybody else does. And again, it's not a bad thing. It's just like a little bit of too much of a purity there that sometimes can be something that doesn't make sense to most people. Yes, Ichikawa used the bath and constantly is just losing it, perving out, talking about how he's trying to look for signs of Yamada getting out of there, not having his underwear, having to go commando. And then yes, the scene with the dog. I love this scene so much. Just like that whole aspect of, he's a boy. Ichikawa is relatable. I mean, I had my frustrations with the first season and the idea that, yes, you have a lot of kids that are, like, especially Adachi. Adachi is a massive perv. He's a creeper. But it's like one of those things where I always kind of give it a little leeway because this is boys. Like, these are boys that are learning about, yes, their bodies, and they're learning about girls and all that kind of stuff, and they're getting interested. And so, yes, they're experimenting in their mind and thinking of the worst things possible. Boys that age are trash. And so I do love how real Ichikawa is, and the idea that, yes, it's probably for most people a little bit too much information, but that's a boy. That's like the whole thing that they insinuate that Ichikawa, when he's at home and he's looking at a magazine of Yamada, he's thinking of inappropriate thoughts and he's doing things himself. That's a boy. That is reality, people. If you're not comfortable with it, that's fine, but that is reality, and that's what makes him relatable. And so, yeah, this whole scene is literally what a boy would be thinking about. Man, all this stuff. And yes, when going commando, constantly thinking about how, you know, the package is right there. His package is right there, and it's more easily viewable. So I do like that kind of allowance to get into that stuff. And yes, that uncomfortable feeling that it's going to make him, this is reality. He's going to be uncomfortable. And yes, the moment that Yamada pops out there, like I said, usually with her lack of realizing what she's doing, I think sometimes for a boy, coming out there with loungewear, and he's like, crap, this sucks. And then the dog grabbing him, pulling it down, and she just goes up there and grabs him and says, no, shoo. Again, this is one of those moments where it's a sign that Yamada gets it. She knows that he's uncomfortable, knows that what, because there's even the following scene that she comes back in there with the cute little hoodie on. She says that he's like, why'd you change? You changed your clothes. And he's like, she said, well, this is cuter. I like this because it's cute. I got it from Moika. I think she realized that what she was wearing was a bit too much. And I think possibly her grabbing him also kind of made her realize, oh yeah, I'm not really wearing much. So I think it was kind of one of those signs that she is kind of realizing that she's stepping a little bit too far. Now, granted, what she gets into is equally as cute and attractive. So you could make the argument that she was trying to be more attractive. I mean, even the mother kind of points it out. Why are you wearing that? You're wearing a really cute outfit. But it's a lot less, I guess, more revealing than the other one, except for the legs. So yeah, it's kind of another one of the signs. But yeah, I love the dog yanking, and it's almost showing the entire time. And then she yells at the dog, and then he just collapsed right next to the dog. So they're both sitting there kowtowing. It was super good. But yeah, following scene is where the juicy bits are. The following scene is, my gosh, I loved this stuff. Like I said, it was just like with Ichikawa's house. They come there, reveal a little bit about themselves, show the picture book, get into the character, their lives, and yes, that kind of feeling into seeing a bigger picture of the character themselves. Having this little brief moment before it, and her feeling grown up, she cooked the food all by herself, she eats it all by herself. That's kind of lonely. And then her pretty much casually just throwing it. I love her casual throw-in of invite. So you come by and eat with me every now and then, right? But yes, this kind of whole picture that is being opened up with her picture book. I love it. She's super cute, super adorable. But yes, every picture having her eating something, but eventually getting into, wait, so you have a piano? Do you play piano? And this kind of shows something that I would assume is the case with Yamada, is she's a type of kid that it seems like the parents want her to try things. And so yes, she did piano, English, ballet, swimming, all this stuff. Her parents, allowed her to get in different clubs and try different things, and she always stopped early. Yamada's thing that it seems to highlight here is that she has a problem with sticking with things, mainly because she doesn't see that she is better than anybody else, and it frustrates her. She's a type that gives up because she can't compete, and it makes her feel bad. She gets frustrated, and she walks away. But she says still, her parents always treated her to her favorite foods every time that she quit. Let her quit the moment they seen it. They didn't fuss. They said, okay, that's fine, you can quit. And then they would celebrate something. They would give her something to kind of make her happy. And Ichikawa kind of connects it later on, which I think is a little bit of a stretch, but it makes sense. The idea that Ichikawa believes that her parents were treating her after she quit because they wanted to make sure that she kept trying new things. Which, yeah, would kind of, for some people would say, for a young kid, you assume that treating them like that would make them go, I want to quit quicker because I can just go and get treated to my favorite foods. Like, I would love to have cake right now, and I'm not liking this. So there is a negative reinforcement there. So Ichikawa is drawing some weird conclusions there, but it's still sweet. It's a sweet thought process there. But no, the more sad thing about this whole situation is getting into, what she believes others see of her. And this, I think, is brilliant because, again, like I keep harping on, I love that we never get Yamada's inner thoughts. Never throughout the series do we get Yamada's inner thoughts. So we have to see it through her actions and her words. And here, we're getting something that has been spelled out for a long time, just finally put in concrete by her admission here. I fear that I quit too much and that I'm not as good as other people. It's going to make people hate me. She's afraid her family hates her for it, that I become a burden. There's so many talented people around me. I'm afraid of being a burden. Suddenly makes sense. Like everything that happened in the first season with her breaking her nose and everything, all that suddenly makes sense. It is so fantastic. I love when writers just nail that ending. You've seen all this. This is why. You've seen her frustration, her crying her eyes out the moment she hurt her nose. Why? It's just a stupid job. It's just a stupid photo shoot. Why is it building so much drama over something so stupid? It seems melodramatic, right? Even myself, I admit, it felt a little dramatic. This girl's getting a little bit too emotional about this whole situation. I'm letting my mom down. I'm letting down the agency. Even though they say it's okay, I'm letting them down. Now, when she said that I'm letting them down, it made sense to me. But this makes more sense. This makes it more impactful. It makes me want to go back and rewatch that whole situation. It's because she was afraid. The moment she broke her nose, there's more talented people around me. I'll be replaced. They're going to hate me. I'm going to be a burden. All that stuff was probably swelling through her head. I keep failing back here. I'm failing again. It makes it so much more impactful. I love it. I love that callback and that consistency with the character. But yes, despite Ichikawa trying to help her, I don't think that's the case. I mean, I think they're all wanting to, help you out. They don't see you as a problem. I think they would tell you if you were a problem. And then Yamada fires it back. It was like one of those moments where you think that Yamada probably had that in her pocket for a long time. One of these days, I'm going to catch him on something, and I'm going to find out why he didn't show up to the library that day. Like, this is something she's been keeping Ichikawa's whole situation with the library, like, right there at the back of her head. It's been living rent-free. She's just been waiting to use that card. The moment he says that, well, you didn't show up for 2 days at the library before winter break. Tell me the truth. You said you'd tell me. But no, jokes aside, again, that shows how much that moment, because she showed it in the first season. When she caught him, you could obviously see that she was scared. She was scared she was losing him. She was scared that she was too much for him. She was putting it on too much. Am I a burden? I think she even said burden back then. And here's where she's trying to clarify it. Was I a burden? Because when you didn't show up for 2 days, I thought I was a burden upon you and you wanted to get away from me. I was afraid that you were getting away from me. And thankfully, Ichikawa finally airing that out. I didn't have it in me. I didn't want to get hurt. Inside, he was afraid of being hated. They're both afraid of being hated. They're just alike. They're so much alike, it's not even funny. They're both afraid of being hated. But yeah, that hug, the hug is so good. It was great. It was a great airing out of their insecurities, a great airing out of what troubles them, where their weak point is. I think the moment that she brought up that he didn't show up for those 2 days, he knew this is something that she can easily see as exactly what she's so afraid of. I need to clear the air. It's going to hurt her. It's going to break her. It was such a good scene. It's such a good scene. I love this show so much. But now here we get into growing up. And another parallel that it seems to have between Ichikawa and Yamada. And Yamada right here is, again, upset in the idea of being afraid of those around her think that she's a burden. And she says, I've been doing this my whole life. Why is it now that it suddenly bugs me? Maybe because I ... I kind of thought this was going to be a confession thing. Like, maybe it's bothering me more now because it's you, Ichikawa. I thought that was going to be the case of her hinting at the reason why it bugs her so much right now is because she likes Ichikawa and doesn't want to break it. She could have been going that direction. It could have been simply that she is afraid that she's always going to be broken, that she is just incompetent, that she is dumb, just basically beating herself down. But Ichikawa interrupts it and says, yes, it's probably because you're growing up. Adults are annoying like that. Which is a cute little thing. And again, it kind of opens up the door to what happens later on with Ichikawa and his insecurities of growing up as well. But again, I kind of was thinking that as a possibility that this could have been a soft confession. That because it's you, Ichikawa, because I like you so much, it's bugging me because I don't want to lose you. And I think that's obviously clearly the case. She likes Ichikawa, and she's constantly afraid she's going to lose him. But yeah, that's when we get the shenanigans around the family. The parents showing up, mom showing up first, and them hiding him away. Like, yeah, she was like, I want to show you to my mom. I show all my friends to my mom. Well, I'm a boy. That's different. And plus I'm in your clothes and it's going to be bad looking. So I'll meet them, but not in these clothes. I want to meet them looking good. So Yamada's like, so you're going to come back then. Runs off to her room. Mom shows up, is kind of prodding the entire time. I think she's seen the shoes. I don't think the mom's dumb. I don't know. Maybe later on, maybe been like a lapse of judgment. The idea that she just kind of runs into the bedroom. So if she knew it was a boy, I don't think she would have run in there without her pants on. Plus, she was afraid that something would happen with Chi. She said that she was here and they had the hot pot and she's allergic to stuff. So she's afraid that she might have allergic reactions. That's why she was panicking running in there. But yeah, saying that she's got to wear one of those hoodies and stuff. But yeah, A little brief scene, Yamada comes back in there, sighs of relief, and says, crap, Dad's coming home too. So what's your dad like? He's kind of like, oh, you? Oh, that's crazy. No, Ichikawa. He doesn't look like me. He doesn't act like me. Again, I think right here is pretty obvious that it's Ichikawa. And yeah, I think with the brief shot that we saw of him, he kind of had a little bit of an Ichikawa face going on. Obviously, the stature is different. He's tall. We know where Yamada got her height from. It looks like he's possibly a doctor, like a doctor's outfit on with some blood on it or something like that. It could be a chef, and that was ketchup. That could be as well. Yeah, he could have been a chef. But yeah, before then, though, I'm getting ahead of myself. Yeah, he briefly almost sees the milk tea, and she tackles him. Again, similar to the whole situation with Yamada's house. She was seeing her magazine, and he just kind of jumped on her. So we get that kind of same thing, and she says it's payback. I love it. I love it. The two of them are so great. I also like the fact that she pointed out that like she's a grown up now or something like that. Or like he said, I'm sorry I made you lie. And she's like, I'm a grown up now. I can lie. I was like, dang, this is getting into a very suggestive little scene here. Like we're gonna go into something, but of course they're keeping it. They're calming themselves down. They're not that unhinged of a children. But no, he had to kind of slap her really quickly with the whole thing about talking to herself in third person. But yeah, we go home. We have a brief little period of time where he's struggling over washing her jersey, not wanting to put it in the wash and dryer because then somebody else will see it. But then he's using this different detergent, so it's going to smell differently. Then he walks in on his sister. Etchy moment. Like I said, Kata has pretty much turned into the etchy character of this series, plus apparently Yamada's mom. Then we had like a very awkward little moment here. I don't know what this was, but obviously there's a time jump after this whole scene where he's washing the clothes. They have like this little thing about smelling and how it smells different with the detergents and different houses. And then it seems like it has this little moment where Ichikawa is talking once again to the protagonist character about how he's got an opportunity with Yamada, but then he doesn't know what's the difference between seeing him as a friend or as a relationship, and then they don't have friends, so they don't know. And then it cuts straight to him having his cast off, but it still cut his arms like still a bit weak. He goes into school. His throat's not doing well. He's not really sure what's going on with his voice. Yamada's having a little bit of an insecurity there in the fact that he's not talking to her. But well, she texts him and says, it's okay if you don't want to talk to me in public, but at least give me eye contact. So it's like one of those moments where she thinks that he's afraid of talking to her, or he's uncomfortable with it in public, but at the same time, she wants some sort of contact with him. So eye contact's fine. That's all she needs. And again, he's not talking because his throat. He can't talk. We get a little brief moment with Karate and her feeling like she's stinking, so she doesn't want to spar with anybody, and he spars with her, and he doesn't realize that she doesn't want him sparring with her because obviously, at least what I'm getting from the whole scene, is she doesn't want him to smell her. Even though he's trying to help her out by giving her a partner, she doesn't want him to smell her. So she throws him down and then leaves. And then yes, we get our parallel with what Yamada's been going through with Ichikawa. And the idea that yes, we get this little brief scene where he admits to her, look, my throat's messed up. She's like, oh crap, you got a cold? No, I think my voice changing. So yeah, puberty sucks, as they say. Ichikawa's voice is probably going to be dropping here soon. I wonder if they'll switch seiyus or if they're just going to give him a little bit more of a deeper voice. But yeah, it was kind of sweet here in the idea that, yeah, Yamada is sort of giving him a little bit of a comfort in the whole situation. It seems like her perspective is, that's great. Boys are cool because they get their voice changes and they get facial hair. Unlike women, boys have things that change that makes it very obvious that they have grown up. And again, in the wake earlier of this conversation about growing up and everything and her excitement of that, she's excited for Ichikawa because he's growing up. He's getting all these changes happening to him and she thinks it's really cool. She's happy for him. And in reverse, what that does for Ichikawa is that it eases his mind. Her saying all this stuff always helps me. Her excitement is like infectious for him, and that's great. And then of course she turns around and says, once you get a deeper voice, say my name plenty of times. And then he realizes, dang, Yamada, you grown up too. Pull him up close and just kind of just shoving him right into them. It was cute. Really, really cute way to kind of end that whole thing. Having her kind of panic and get all flustered again. Having those brief moments where you kind of see that she doesn't seem to have those boundaries, those personal space boundaries. She's super close, and you'd think that would throw her off, and that leads you to believe that she's a typical ditzy character that anime loves to have. But no, she just she wants to get in there, but every now and then she crosses the line and she doesn't realize it until it kind of is pointed out to her, and then she gets flustered. It's super cute. It shows how much she wants to be connected with him, that she keeps throwing caution to the wind and diving in there before she realizes she's in over her head. It's super cute. I love the whole thing with the arms. This one didn't get smaller. This one got bigger. You're getting bigger. You're growing up. You're getting older. And Ichikawa is fearful of growing up, fearful of becoming older. And it seems like a lot of that has to do with his fears of the two of them no longer being able to get together. That is a core part of his fears. As he's fearful of this and coming closer to her, he is afraid, if I get older, I'm not going to be able to be with Yamada. If we get to that point where we're old enough, nobody's going to see us be able to have a relationship. It is the age-old question mark around relationships with friends, is that a girl and a boy can't be friends when they reach a certain age, because then they have to branch off, and if they don't branch off, everybody makes assumptions that they're in a relationship or something like that. Now, obviously, my assumption is that eventually it's going to turn into Ichikawa finally getting up the courage to tell Yamada, I love you, let's go out, let's be a couple. But for right now, it is I simply want to be at her side. We kind of want to hang out together. I like my time together. And I think Ichikawa still has that fear that they can't be a couple, like he's not good enough for her. So if that's the case, yeah, not getting older is a good thing, because eventually I'm not going to be able to be at her side because I can't be in a relationship with her. And that would be expectation for me. So yeah, that's kind of what's building in his head and why they can't be around each other. He can't keep his relationship the same. But yeah. Overall, fantastic episode. Love this episode. Love it. I'm curious where it's going to go from here. It just feels like, this felt like a season end, honestly. This really did feel like a massive chapter close, which is kind of curious to have after the second episode, but can't wait for more. Still love the series so much. This has been a long recording for a single episode. This is going to be length of an episode. I'm sorry. There was so much to talk about here, but I hope you guys enjoyed this video. As always, if you did, make sure that like button down below, comment. Let me know what you thought of the episode. Additionally, if you're new to the channel, make sure that subscribe button to get my content and news reviews, first impressions, top list. If it's anime, it's pretty much here. Additionally, if you want to support the channel more, you like this content, I have a Patreon link, tips link, super thanks, membership button down below. Greatly appreciate what it does, and y'all take care.